Welcome to the class. In this class, we will be learning about pedigree, how pedigree is analyzed and what is pedigree. So, pedigree is nothing but a family tree. Okay, it is a family tree in which we observe inheritance of a particular character from one generation to other. So, if this is father and there is a cross between father and mother, then they will have sons and daughters. And again, they will have children. So, here we are studying a family tree and the inheritance of a particular character. Okay. Here the particular character is usually the genetic disorders or the diseased character. Okay. So inheritance of diseased character we study by making the family tree and see how the character is inherited from one generation to other. If, for example, the father is affected, okay, so if the father is affected, how many children are affected and how the grandson and granddaughters are affected, how many are carrier of the disease. We study pedigree to make sure that how actually the diseased character is inherited from one generation to other, and to the next generations. Like this, we study the family tree and find out how the disease character or how the genetic disorders are transcended from one generation to another.
So, in case of pedigree analysis, while doing pedigree, we use different kinds of symbols like this. This square symbolize male, and this round for female, and this structure says sex unspecified, means we do not know if this is male or female. Like that, the blank ones are the normal ones, while these colored ones, if the void is filled, not only this red color, it can be black color or any color, these colored ones are the affected individuals. Affected individuals are shown in filled colors, and these blank ones are normal. And this one is male and female, and this line between male and female shows that there is mating between these two, there is marriage between this male and this female. And if there are two lines, that shows the mating is between relatives. Consanguineous mating means the blood related relatives are married. Now here these two are the parents and these two are the children. And who is the first children? From left to right, here it is the first children, and here is second, and like that third, fourth, we can do as many children as possible. So like that we do the numbering. Here is the 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Then this child is affected child, while the parents are not affected. And this one shows 5 unaffected offspring. This number shows the number of offspring.
Now coming to the inheritance pattern of the genetic disorders. So we know that in case of human beings we have 22 pairs of autosomes and 1 pair of sex chromosomes. So if the diseased allele is present in the 22 pairs of autosomes, then that disease will be called autosomal, or that inheritance will be called autosomal. Okay. If the diseased allele will be present in the last pair of sex chromosome, and that will be sex-linked inheritance. And this sex-linked inheritance can be X-linked Now, this autosomal disorders again can be of two types, dominant and recessive. If only one allele is present and if capital A is responsible for the disease and the disease is being phenotyped or it is being shown in the presence of single allele, then we are saying that it is a dominant allele or the disorder is dominant. Or if both dominant alleles are present and the disease is showing, then it is also dominant. Okay. So we already know the concept of dominant and recessive. If two alleles are required for the production of the phenotype, for the production of the character or the disease, then we are saying it is recessive. If only one allele is required for the phenotype to be shown, then that is dominant. So if in case of dominant, if one allele is there or two, the disease will be shown. But in case of recessive, what will happen? If small a is the diseased allele or the affected allele, then both alleles has to be present for the disease to occur. Okay, that is the case of recessive. If the diseased allele is recessive, then both the allele has to be recessive so that the phenotype will be shown. Okay. Now, if in case of sex-linked disorder, there is also two types, dominant and recessive. What will happen in case of dominant? If it is X-linked disorder, let us take the example of X-linked. Two X chromosomes are there in case of female. So what will happen if one allele is affected? In case of dominant allele, the disease will be shown. Or if both the X chromosome alleles are affected, then also the disease will be shown. But in case of recessive, what will happen? Both the alleles has to be present for the disease to occur. Okay? But the case of males is different. They contain one X chromosome and one Y chromosome. So in case of X-linked diseases, X-linked may be dominant disease, may be recessive disease, but because they contain only one X chromosome, if that one chromosome will contain an affected allele, may be dominant or recessive, the disease will be shown in case of male. Okay? So this is the reason why male are more affected than female in sex-linked disorders. Why? Because they contain only one X chromosome. If that single X chromosome contains affected allele, then the individual will be affected. And again, if the disease is Y-linked, then also only the male will be affected, not the female. So that is the main reason why more males are affected in sex-linked disorder than females. And one more generalization we can do, that most of the genetic disorders are recessive. So because the diseases are mostly recessive, so usually we are not affected easily with the genetic disorders because we need two alleles from the two parents to make the disease happen. So because it is recessive, usually people are not affected with genetic disorders. Genetic disorders are little rare cases. Okay, mostly people are carrier, but they are not affected.
Next, coming to some of the rules that we can follow while solving the pedigree. We have seen that autosomal dominant and autosomal recessive disorder it can be. Then it can be sex-linked dominant or sex-linked recessive. Again, in sex-linked we have X-linked and Y-linked. So if the disease is autosomal dominant, it never skip the generation. Okay, it will be seen in every generation, in generation 1, generation 2, generation 3, and so on. In all the generation, the disease, the phenotype of the disease will be there if it is autosomal dominant. And there is a second possibility: the children of affected parent might be unaffected. So here is one example. If this is the phenotype, this is the genotype of parent, capital A, small a, and capital A is responsible for this disease, then the child can be capital A and capital A small a, and they will be affected because they contain the dominant allele. But here if the child is containing the genotype small a, then it will be unaffected. So it is possible that some of the children of affected parent might be unaffected. It is not compulsory that all the children will be affected or all the children will be unaffected. So if both the parents are affected with autosomal dominant disorder, then it is quite possible that some of the children may be unaffected because they do not contain any of the dominant allele because of the heterozygous nature of parents. Second is the autosomal recessive. Here children of unaffected parents might be affected. If it is autosomal recessive, then the two alleles has to be recessive for the phenotype to be shown in an individual. So here if the parents are containing one dominant allele, then here the disease will not be shown because it is autosomal recessive. Two recessive alleles has to be there. So here the parents will be unaffected but the child can be affected. So this is the case of autosomal recessive. Parents are unaffected and child is affected. This clearly shows that the disease is autosomal recessive. Third one is sex-linked. Here we are taking the case of X-linked for now. X-linked disease, in case of X-linked disease, if father is affected, then all the daughters will be affected and no sons will be affected. How? Let us see an example. Let us consider this is the mother containing normal X chromosome and there is a cross between this mother and a father who contain one affected X chromosome and one Y chromosome. So here we can have only one type of gamete and here two types. The possible children will be X, XA, then X, Y. Okay. So because here only one type of gamete will be there, so these two types of phenotype will be seen in case of the children. So if the disease is sex-linked dominance, okay, and father is affected, we are taking the case of father being affected. So here father is affected and father always transferred the X chromosome to the daughter and Y chromosome to the son. So son will be unaffected but daughter will be affected because the X chromosome of father is there in daughter and one allele can cause this disease because it is dominant. Okay, so all the daughters will be affected and no son will be affected because X chromosome from father is transferred to daughter always, never to son. Coming to the last case, sex-linked recessive disorder. Here the males are more affected than females. Why? Because male contain only one X chromosome. So if this one chromosome is affected, it contain affected allele, then the individual will be affected. But because it is recessive in case of female, we need two affected allele in both chromosome, both X chromosome, for the female to be affected. So one affected allele is causing illness in males, but two are required in case of females. So males are more affected than females in sex-linked recessive disorder. And the last point is crisscross inheritance occur in case of sex-linked recessive. What is this crisscross inheritance? Here the X chromosome from father is always transferred to the daughter. So because it is recessive, the daughter will be carrier. The daughter will not be affected because she contains only one affected X chromosome. But she will transfer that affected allele to her son. So here the father is affected and the grandson is affected. Daughter is not affected, daughter is only carrier. So this type of inheritance from father to daughter as a carrier, then from carrier daughter to grandson, this type of inheritance is called crisscross inheritance. So these are a few of the characters by remembering which we can easily solve the pedigree problems.